Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is kind of a part 2 or a compendium to a recent range report that I did on a Makarov. And today I'm going to be doing a range report on a Makarov. Yeah, I know, you guys are probably like, why in the world is he doing the same model gun? Well, this one is different. This one is chambered in 9x17, or as most of you know it, 380, where the other one was in the original 9x18. And this particular firearm is designed more for civilians than it is the military. The other one was a Circle 10. It was originally made for the military or police. But this one was designed for export, and as I said, for civilian sales because of the caliber. Now, both of these pistols were lent to me at the same time by my good friend Jack, and I want to thank him for that. And he said it'd be really good if you could do a compare and contrast. Now, on that original video, which by the way, I will link in the description, and I think it's really important that you go watch that video because I was not complimentary of that pistol at all. And many of you guys said I got that one wrong, and some people gave me some advice, and I will say I did learn some things about shooting this gun successfully. So I hope that's going to translate into this range report as I compare the two calibers. So if you haven't seen that range report, as I said, go watch it now. But before I get into the things that I like and don't like and get to the shooting footage, I want to thank the people that always make these videos possible. First and foremost, I've already mentioned him, is Jack, the owner of both of these Makarovs that I've gotten to shoot. Jack, thanks again for letting me shoot some awesome guns of your collection. I want to thank my Patreon supporters as always, because through their monthly donation and support, they help keep this content coming, because as you guys know, I'm a YouTube bad boy. Not everything I make is monetizable, so they really go a long way in helping me buy equipment to film all this. And as always, I want to thank my primary sponsor for all these range reports because he provides all of the ammunition, my good friend Mark from Brownworks. And yes, once again, we're talking about Brownworks, one of the best grip manufacturers in the world. And I know if you're watching this video, you're here to learn about the Makarov. Well, I guess so am I, because I like to share all the information about these guns that I learned with you. But you probably own one of these, and maybe you want a custom set of wood panel grips. Now, I know that Mark can make pretty much anything. I know that I'm rolling in some of his finest work here. You guys can see these pictures on Colt 1911s, Beretta 92s, CZs, just to name a few. I believe I even have some of the Hudson H9. Yes, he does custom work. He makes one-of-a-kind grips that are like nothing else on the market. They are tailored to you and your specifications with custom logos and engravings. Anything that you imagine, Mark can make. I'm going to put a link in the description below so you guys can go over there and check out his website, as well as a coupon code for 10% off your first order. He also has specialty products like laser engraving PMags for AR-15s and AK-47s, as well as wood panel grips for guns like the AR-15. Yes, you can have something that nobody else has or maybe even thought about, wood panel grips for your AR with those custom logos and engravings. Mark can do it all. So if you want to support me here at the Texas Gun Vault, please go check out Brownworks. He does so much to help keep these range reports going, and it means the world to me, so please go and support him. And when you go to his website, and if you don't find what you're looking for, I guarantee if you contact him, he can help hook you up. And when you do, tell him the Texas Gun Vault sent you. Alright, so let's talk a little bit more about what this gun is. This is a Makarov made in the Arsenal factory in Bulgaria, designed primarily for the commercial market because of its caliber. So this is probably still made in the same factory that the other one was made in. And once again, I was not complimentary of that one. That one hurt to shoot. I got slide bite. I had some issues when it came to accuracy. I didn't like the capacity, and I didn't like the heel magazine release. It really made reloading this gun kind of slow. However, handling this one compared to that one, there's a few improvements on this one that I really like. And they're probably there because it's designed more for the civilian market. First is the grips. Now, the grips here, you'll notice, has a little place for your thumb on the side, and this keeps my hand down on that frame a lot more than the military grip. So I think this is going to help me prevent getting slide bite. Unfortunately, these grips are only for righties. So if you're a left-handed shooter, you don't get that on the left-hand side. But I guarantee you, Brown Works should probably make you something like that if you want it. Another thing that I really like of this gun over the other one is the finish. This one is in a Parkerized finish. Now normally I like those blued guns, and if I was a collector, I definitely would want one that was blued just like the Soviet military. However, I do like these Parkerized finished and these more industrial looking guns. I find these can be a little bit more durable and a little bit more corrosion resistant. So I really like the way this Parkerization is applied. It appears to be even. All the markings on it seem to be very clear. So I have to say that for a foreign-made gun that's a design of an old Soviet gun, I really do like the finish. I also like the way that these guns field strip. I actually did a field strip video on that a couple of days ago as well. It comes apart just like a Walther PPK, so I find that to be very easy to disassemble and clean because I know that I'm really OCD when it comes to my guns and I want to clean them after every single range trip. So I have to say, with the two main things of the finish and the ergonomics of this gun, I already like it better than the military counterpart. But now let's talk about the things that I don't like. And it's pretty much going to be the same things I didn't like with the other one. The first thing is going to be that heel release. I've already talked about it. It's really stiff and really slows you down getting that magazine out. Maybe we're just spoiled here in the West, but we sure like our magazine buttons up here and those magazines to fly out of here. This gun, it's not going to happen. I've actually gotten pretty good at stripping that mag out, but if you're not used to it, it's definitely going to be a little bit of a chore. I'm also not a fan of these teeny tiny sights. Let me see if I can get those into focus. Reminds me very much like early 1911 sights. There we go. Yeah, they're really tiny. Now, I had some accuracy issues with the pistol in the last range report, and everyone said how accurate these are at 20 and 25 yards. So I'm going to test that out, but in general, I don't like how small those sights are. The other thing I don't like is the trigger on this thing. It's really heavy in double action, and the single action pull is really kind of mushy. So let me show you this on camera here. Let's, of course, safety check this gun. So here is the single action pull, kind of mushy, kind of long, a lot of take up. A little bit on the heavy side, but it has a better wall than the military version. And then here's the reset. There we go. Kind of a shorter reset. I do like that. And then here is the double action pull. Really long and really heavy. So there's a lot to be desired in that trigger. I definitely think that could be improved. And who knows, maybe there's a lot of gunsmiths that can improve that trigger. But that's the main things about this gun that I don't like. And as I said, they're very similar to the previous video that I made. But now let's get this thing to the range. Let's see if this different caliber in this gun is going to make that much of a difference. Now that I know how to hold this gun a little bit better, I like these grips more, and the cartridge is not as powerful, this might be a much more pleasant shooting firearm, and we'll see if I'm any more accurate with it. So now I'm going to set up the target as always at 7 yards, load up one of these magazines with just 8 rounds. Yes, it's all you get with these things, 8 rounds. Let's see how my accuracy is. Let's see if this gun shoots any better than the military version of this, and just see if I enjoy it any more. So let's see how it performs. All right, so we're off to a better start. That's actually a pretty good group. I did have one flyer there, and I knew when it happened. I have to say it's way more comfortable to shoot, and the recoil is a lot less. In fact, when it comes to the recoil of a 380, I really like how this thing feels. Sometimes these smaller guns in 380 can still be kind of snappy. This one feels absolutely fantastic. So I can see why civilian shooters and maybe even a woman would want to carry a gun of this size in this caliber because it has such a light recoil. So I'm pretty happy with that. So far, So no issues. All right, so now let's get to what I call the accuracy portion. No, I'm not gonna bench rest it. I just wanna see what's gonna happen to this group at a further distance. So I'm gonna set the target at 15 yards, load up another magazine, and see what happens to this group. All right, so we had a little bit of a problem there. We did have a failure to feed. Now, in my opinion, this is one of the downsides to this type of action where you have the barrel that is held in place by the frame. So this is not a typical Browning tilting barrel action. One of the advantages of the tilting barrel is that the feed ramps do come down, and that helps guide the round from the magazine into the chamber. So in some gun designs that don't have that, you can have feeding issues depending on the ammunition and the shape of the projectile. So we did have one failure to feed, and I did want to document that. But we're gonna try it again, so we'll load up the magazine again, and let's see if I can get through a whole magazine once again at 15 yards. All right, so this is turning out way better than the other one that I shot. Way more enjoyable, way more accurate, way more comfortable. Now, as a collector, I definitely would want one that had military provenance and chambered in the original 9x18. But if I was gonna go out and buy a shooter, I definitely think the 9x17 380 is the way to go. This is turning out to be a very surprising range report. It's almost night and day compared to the other one. So, wow, I am really happy with this performance so far, with the exception of that one failure to feed. But because we had that one failure to feed, I think it's really important that we do another test, the hollow point test. I do this on some guns, especially foreign-made guns, and one like this that doesn't have a tilting barrel. So I'm gonna load up this magazine again with some defensive hollow points. We're gonna see if this thing runs and if it feeds properly. And if it does, I think it says a lot about the design of this gun and the quality of these Arsenal Makarovs. All right, and I'll be very honest with you, I wasn't expecting them to run, but it did. I didn't have any problems whatsoever, and the fact that that ammo was lower recoil, I didn't know if it would be able to cycle the action. And it did, so no problems whatsoever. All right, so the next test I'm going to do once again is the quick magazine change, or in the case of the Makarov, the slow magazine change, because it's really hard to get that magazine out of that gun, the new one in really quickly, and get the gun back in action. But I'm going to do my best. I'm also going to save a tree on this one. I know I was using the hostage taker target in the last footage. Well, I'm going to use the same target, but this time I'm going to shoot the hostage. After all, if you shoot the hostage taker has no leverage over you, right? Well, just kidding. But we can at least see this gun's performance and how accurate it is when I'm shooting it as fast as I can. And you know, for point shooting, that was pretty good. I think I only missed one time. This gun is really easy to stay on target because the recoil is so low. And yeah, that was a super duper slow reload. So as compared to guns like the M9 or the 1911, man, I just feel like the Soviet military was at a disadvantage when it came to their sidearm and their ability to reload the gun fast. I know the whole point of a pistol in military is to give you enough time to get to your rifle. And of course, the Soviets had the AK-47, and it's arguably one of the best assault rifles of all time. However, when it comes to their sidearms, I just don't think they match up to what the West was using at the same time. I'm also really happy with how fast I was able to pull this trigger. I was able to pull it faster than I was expecting. So I don't know if they put the same trigger in both the military and the civilian versions, but this one definitely seems to be a little bit nicer. Maybe this gun is a little bit newer. I don't really know, but I have to say the trigger is definitely an upgrade as compared to the other one that I shot. All right, so now I want to give my wife Becky a chance to shoot this, and she's not too excited about shooting it because she did not like the last one. She said, I absolutely don't like anything about that gun. I was like, okay, I've already shot this one. I think you're gonna like it. Hold your grip down, use the grips the way that they're designed. I think you're not gonna get slide bite, and I told her that the recoil of this firearm is definitely a lot better. So I'm anxious to see what her thoughts are. So let's load up a magazine and give her a chance to shoot it. All right, and she did like this one a lot better. Her complaints are still with the grip, so I think if I owned one of these and she wanted to carry it, I probably would contact Mark from Brownworks and have some custom grips made that fit her hand a little bit better. I'm sure she would also enjoy the gun a little bit more if the grips were in pink, but that's just her thing. But overall, she really liked it and said that is a huge improvement over the other one that we shot. So I really feel like a gun of this size, if you're a female shooter or a new shooter looking for something in 380 with lower recoil, this actually might be a way to go, where I did not recommend that with the other gun. But this one, so far, I'm pretty happy, and the reliability's been pretty good. I've only had that one failure to feed. So the gun might be a little bit fidgety, and you have to get, once again, used to that heel release, which is very different than a lot of other modern guns. All right, I want to do one more test before I give you guys my final thoughts, and that's going to be the extremely long-range test, I guess. Well, just out to 25 yards. And I'm going to do this test because in the last video, I had a number of people tell me how accurate their Makarovs were out to 25 yards. I'm like, with these tiny little sights, well, I am shooting this gun better. It's way more comfortable. So I'm really going to take my time, set up the target at 25 yards, and let's just see if I can shoot this thing as accurate as they say it's possible. All right, so I'm really surprised. This thing actually is really accurate and I can shoot it well at those further distances. So all of my commenters were right. The Makarov is pretty darn good. Overall, this whole range report has really surprised me. The gun's more accurate than I was expecting. The recoil is a lot more manageable than I was expecting. The gun's more comfortable to shoot than I was expecting. And it ran hollow points when I didn't think it would, especially after that one failure to feed. So the entire time, I have just simply been surprised. Now, I don't know if this is a gun that I still would recommend to a lot of people just because it doesn't have many of the modern amenities that we have come to be used to in modern shooting and modern pistols. For example, once again, that heel release. I know I have harped on that. It's just different. It's weird. Now, I like guns with heel releases. This one is just not as easy as other ones. I know a lot of American shooters are used to that push button release. So if you're new or novice, you might not like it. You have no options for better sights. These sights are not dovetailed. Well, I guess the rear ones are, the front ones are not, and it's really, really tiny. So unless you have really good eyes, you might not like this. Of course, it's not going to be compatible with a red dot. You don't have any type of rail to mount a light or any other type of accessory to this gun. It's just an old style gun, but that doesn't mean it's bad. You just have to decide if it's the right one for you. So as a collector, I might not be as interested in this gun because it's not the one with the military provenance, but from a shooting perspective, this one is definitely the way to go. So if you are interested in a Makarov and you just want a shooter, I might recommend going the 380 route. This thing has really, really impressed me. It's definitely a fun range gun. It's really cool to look at and think, okay, so this was the gun that was used by the Soviet Army, so it has that type of coolness to it. However, from a collector standpoint, it's just another 380, a foreign-made 380. But once again, that doesn't mean that it's bad, it's just different. But if you like old and cool guns, this one might be the one for you. So on my star system, how would I rate the Arsenal Bulgarian Makarov, designed for export and civilian use in 380? Well, this one's going to get a lot higher marks. This one easily gets 3.5 stars out of 5. And now I know some of those Makarov lovers are still saying you're not giving it its due justice. You have to understand I am reviewing this from a modern perspective. I know a lot of people that are going to come to my channel and look at these range reports might be looking at the gun as a potential carry gun. That's not what this is going to be. I would definitely recommend going with something more modern. But if you like the history and the old guns, it's definitely the way to go. In my mind, it still just has enough detractions away from it really to give it much more. It definitely functions. It's definitely accurate. It's a lot of fun to shoot. I just don't know if it's suited for self-defense in our modern world, especially when we have other guns that are this size with more capacity, better sights, more ergonomic. Yeah, it just doesn't compare to something like a Glock 43 or a 42. It just doesn't compete with that. It's just something different, but it's not bad. So that's my thoughts on this. Wow, this thing really changed my mind. I didn't like the Makarov when I shot the other one, but this one, I definitely do. What a cool gun. So thank you again, Jack, for giving me the opportunity to shoot this. It was a lot of fun and a very eye-opening experience, especially comparing the two Makarovs. So let me know, for those of you that love the Makarov and thought I got the other one wrong, what do you think of this range report? I would love to know in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching.